Have you ever watched a story that slowly pulls you in, and before you even realize it, you're completely lost inside its world? Pirates of the Caribbean is one of those films that doesn't just entertain, it makes you feel every moment. From the very beginning, the movie builds a sense of mystery and tension, where every scene carries meaning and every character hides something deeper beneath the surface. As the story unfolds, you start to see how small decisions lead to unexpected consequences. The film takes you through intense moments, emotional turns, and powerful scenes that keep you hooked till the very end. It's not just about what happens, it's about why it happens and how it changes everything. The characters in this film are not simple. Each one has a purpose, a backstory, and a role that connects to the bigger picture. Their performances bring life to the story, making every scene feel real and impactful. But what truly makes Pirates of the Caribbean stand out is the way it was created. The vision behind the story, the effort put into its production, and the ideas that inspired it. Every detail, from storytelling to execution, adds something unique to the overall experience. In this video, we're going to break down the complete story, explore the characters, and analyze everything from its creation to its success. And just to be clear, this is not a full movie or a movie screening. It's a detailed review and analysis made for learning and entertainment purposes. So let's begin and take a closer look at Pirates of the Caribbean. There is a certain kind of adventure that feels alive the moment it begins, not because of explosions or spectacle, but because of attitude. This story opens with that exact energy, a strange mix of danger, humor, and mystery that quietly pulls you in before you even realize it. You are not just stepping into a pirate tale, you are stepping into a world where rules bend, loyalties shift, and even the ocean seems to have a personality of its own. The tone is playful, but there is always something darker moving underneath the surface. That balance is what makes this film stand out from the first few minutes. This is Pirates of the Caribbean, released in 2003, directed by Gore Verbinski, and led by a cast that brings an unusual level of charm to the genre. Johnny Depp plays Captain Jack Sparrow with a style that feels unpredictable and oddly precise at the same time. Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley bring a more grounded emotional layer, while Jeffrey Rush adds intensity that gives the story real weight. What makes this film different is not just the setting or the action, but the way each character carries their own perspective into the story. Everyone feels like they belong in this world, yet no one fully controls it. Before going deeper, it is important to keep one thing clear. This is a review and a breakdown, not a replacement for the film itself. The goal here is to explore how the story unfolds, how the characters think, and why certain moments hit harder than others. You will get the essence, the emotion, and the meaning behind key scenes, but not a frame-by-frame recreation. The experience of watching it still holds its own value, especially with how visually rich and detailed this world becomes. The film begins in a quiet, almost calm setting, far from the chaos you might expect from a pirate story. A young girl stands on the deck of a ship, her voice soft as she sings a haunting tune about pirates. There is an innocence in her tone, but also a hint of something unsettling, as if the song carries stories she does not fully understand yet. The ocean around her feels endless, stretching into a horizon that hides more than it reveals. This opening choice is deliberate, because it sets the emotional contrast that the entire film will keep returning to. As the ship moves forward, a thick fog begins to form, slowly surrounding everything. Visibility drops, and the atmosphere changes from peaceful to tense without any sudden action. Out of that fog, the wreckage of another ship appears, broken and abandoned, drifting like a ghost. It is not just a visual moment, it creates a question immediately. What happened here, and why does it feel like something is still lingering? The crew moves cautiously, and that is when they find a young boy floating in the water, barely alive. He is rescued and brought aboard, and the girl, whose name is Elizabeth, watches him closely. There is something about him that stands out, even in his unconscious state. Around his neck hangs a strange medallion, a piece that feels out of place yet important. Elizabeth notices it, and her curiosity quickly turns into a quiet decision. When the boy regains consciousness, his name is Will Turner, and there is a vulnerability in him that contrasts with the danger hinted at by the medallion. Elizabeth chooses to take the medallion without telling anyone, hiding it as if she senses it could lead to trouble. This moment is small, but it shapes everything that follows. It shows how instinct and secrecy begin to guide decisions long before the real conflict even appears. Years pass, and the story shifts into a more structured world, where order and discipline define daily life. Port Royal comes into view, a place that represents control, authority, and the idea that the sea can be managed if rules are strong enough. Elizabeth is no longer a child, and her life is now surrounded by expectations tied to her status. She is part of a society that values appearance, duty, and reputation, yet there is a clear tension in her behavior. During a formal ceremony, where the focus should be on celebration and pride, Elizabeth struggles with the restrictions placed on her. The corset she wears becomes more than just clothing. It feels like a symbol of everything holding her back. Her discomfort grows, not just physically but emotionally, until it reaches a breaking point. She faints and falls into the sea, a sudden moment that disrupts the controlled environment around her. This is where the story introduces one of its most grounded characters, Will Turner, now grown and working as a blacksmith. Without hesitation, he dives into the water to save Elizabeth, acting on instinct rather than protocol. His actions show a different kind of strength, one that does not rely on rank or authority. There is a quiet connection between him and Elizabeth, though it remains unspoken at this stage. When Elizabeth is brought back to safety, the medallion she had hidden all those years ago becomes visible again. It reacts in a way that feels almost unnatural, creating a ripple effect that no one fully understands yet. This is the first clear sign that the story is not limited to human conflict. There is something else at play, something tied to the past and waiting to surface. At the same time, another presence enters the story, one that shifts the tone immediately. Captain Jack Sparrow arrives in Port Royal in a way that feels both accidental and intentional. His entrance is not grand in the traditional sense, but it is memorable because of how casually he carries himself. His boat is sinking as he steps onto the dock, yet he moves with complete confidence, as if everything is under control. Jack Sparrow does not behave like a typical pirate, and that is exactly what makes him interesting. His movements are slightly off balance, his words carry a strange rhythm, and his decisions seem unpredictable. Yet beneath all of that, there is a sharp awareness of his surroundings. He notices details others ignore, and he adjusts quickly to whatever situation he faces. His first interactions in Port Royal reveal how he navigates authority. He does not confront it directly, but he also does not submit to it. Instead, he finds ways to move around it, using charm, distraction, and timing to stay one step ahead. This approach sets the tone for how he will handle much bigger challenges later in the story. As Jack explores the town, his attention shifts toward acquiring a ship, which becomes his immediate goal. This objective might seem simple, but it reflects something deeper about his character. For Jack, a ship is not just transportation, it represents freedom, identity, and control over his own path. Without it, he is incomplete. Meanwhile, Will continues his daily life, unaware of how closely his past is connected to the events beginning to unfold. His work as a blacksmith shows his dedication and skill, but also his position in society. He exists between worlds, not fully accepted by the elite, yet not entirely disconnected from them either. This in-between state creates an internal tension that becomes more visible as the story progresses. The calm structure of Port Royal does not last long, because the presence hinted at earlier finally arrives in full force. A pirate ship appears under the cover of darkness, moving with a quiet intensity that feels almost supernatural. The attack that follows is not just chaotic, it is calculated, targeting specific areas and creating fear rather than random destruction. This moment changes everything, because it introduces the true threat of the story. The pirates are not acting like ordinary criminals. There is a purpose behind their actions, something connected to the medallion and the past it represents. Elizabeth becomes a central figure in this conflict, not because of her status, but because of what she unknowingly carries. As the attack unfolds, the contrast between order and chaos becomes clear. Port Royal's defenses struggle to respond, showing how fragile control can be when faced with something unexpected. Characters are forced to act quickly, making decisions that reveal their true nature under pressure. Jack Sparrow, who initially seemed like an outsider with unclear intentions, begins to position himself within the conflict in subtle ways. He observes more than he reacts, choosing his moments carefully. This patience suggests that he understands more about the situation than he lets on, adding another layer of mystery to his character. By the time the attack reaches its peak, the story has shifted completely from quiet introduction to active tension. Every character is now connected through a shared problem, even if they do not fully realize it yet. The ocean, which once felt calm and distant, now feels like the source of everything unfolding. This first section builds the foundation carefully, focusing on atmosphere, character, and subtle hints rather than rushing into action. It allows each element to settle, creating a sense of depth that makes the coming events more impactful. The pacing stays controlled, but there is a clear forward movement that keeps the story engaging. The strength of this opening lies in how it balances simplicity with intrigue. Nothing feels over-explained, yet everything carries meaning. Small decisions, like Elizabeth hiding the medallion or Jack choosing when to act, begin to shape a much larger narrative. This approach keeps the audience involved, because it invites you to think about what might happen next without giving too much away. As the dust from the attack begins to settle, new questions emerge and the direction of the story becomes more focused. The connection between past and present starts to tighten, and the characters are pulled closer to a conflict that will test them in ways they are not prepared for. The journey has only just begun, but the tone is already clear. This is not just a story about pirates or treasure. It is about identity, choices, and the hidden forces that shape both. Every step forward reveals something new, and every character carries a piece of the puzzle that is slowly coming together. The night does not calm after the attack, it stretches into something heavier, as if the darkness itself refuses to lift. Smoke lingers in the air, drifting through the remains of what was once a place of order and certainty. The silence that follows is not peaceful. It feels unsettled, like a pause before something worse. People move through the damage with confusion, trying to understand what just happened, but there is no clear explanation waiting for them. The sense of control that defined Port Royal has cracked, and that realization sits quietly in every corner. Elizabeth is no longer where she should be, and that absence becomes the center of attention almost immediately. Her disappearance is not just personal, it carries political weight, and that changes how everyone reacts. There is urgency, but also pressure, because failure is not an option in a place built on authority. Yet beneath all of that, there is fear, because the attackers did not behave like ordinary pirates. They moved with purpose, and that purpose now feels connected to something far older than this single event. Will Turner feels that shift more than most, even if he cannot explain it yet. The moment he realizes Elizabeth is gone, his focus sharpens in a way that overrides everything else. His connection to her has always been quiet, almost hidden behind routine and distance, but now it surfaces with clarity. He does not hesitate or overthink, he moves toward action because standing still feels impossible. This reaction says more about him than any words could, because it shows where his priorities truly lie. At the same time, Jack Sparrow finds himself in a situation that forces him to reveal a different side of his character. His earlier movements in Port Royal were careful and calculated, but now the environment has changed. He is no longer just observing, he is directly involved, whether he planned it or not. His attempt to take advantage of the chaos does not go as expected, and suddenly he is captured, treated as a threat rather than a clever outsider. The contrast here is important, because it strips away the illusion of control Jack seemed to have. He is placed in chains, surrounded by authority, yet even in that position, he does not lose his composure. His expression remains steady, almost amused, as if he is already thinking several steps ahead. This calm under pressure hints at experience, suggesting that this is not the first time he has been in a situation like this. Governor Swan, Elizabeth's father, struggles to balance his role as a leader with his role as a parent. His decisions are influenced by both, and that creates tension in how he responds. He wants immediate action, but he also relies on structure and protocol, which slows things down. This hesitation contrasts sharply with Will's urgency, highlighting the difference between emotional drive and institutional control. When Will learns that Jack Sparrow is in custody, a new idea begins to form, one that feels risky but necessary. He recognizes something in Jack that others overlook, a connection to the world that just attacked them. It is not trust, but it is enough to take a chance. Will approaches Jack not as a criminal, but as a potential ally, someone who might have answers when no one else does. Their first real interaction carries an unusual energy because both characters are trying to read each other at the same time. Will is direct, focused on his goal, while Jack responds with layered answers that reveal and conceal information simultaneously. There is a push and pull in their conversation, a negotiation without clear boundaries. Jack does not give anything away easily, but he does not dismiss Will either. What makes this exchange compelling is how quickly their dynamic forms. Will brings determination and sincerity, while Jack brings unpredictability and experience. They are very different, yet there is a strange balance between them that begins to take shape. Neither fully trusts the other, but both see value in continuing the interaction. Will's decision to break Jack out of custody is not presented as heroic in a simple way. It is a calculated risk, driven by urgency and limited options. He understands the consequences, but he also understands that waiting will not bring Elizabeth back. This choice marks a turning point for his character, because it shows a willingness to step outside the rules he has lived by. The escape itself is not smooth or controlled. It carries a sense of improvisation that matches Jack's style. Plans shift in the moment, and outcomes are uncertain until they happen. This unpredictability keeps the tension alive, because nothing feels guaranteed. Each step forward comes with the possibility of failure, and that risk adds weight to their actions. As they move away from Port Royal, the focus shifts from structured society to open uncertainty. The ocean becomes their path, but also their challenge, because it offers freedom without safety. Jack takes the lead in navigating this space, showing a level of confidence that suggests familiarity. He knows where to go, or at least he acts like he does, and that is enough for now. Their destination is not random, it is tied to something Jack has been planning long before this moment. He speaks of a ship, the Black Pearl, with a tone that carries both pride and frustration. This ship is not just a goal, it is a piece of his identity that has been taken from him. The way he talks about it reveals a deeper motivation, one that goes beyond the immediate situation. Will listens, trying to separate truth from performance, but Jack does not make it easy. His words often carry multiple meanings, and his intentions are never fully clear. Yet there is enough consistency to suggest that he is not lying entirely. This ambiguity keeps Will cautious, but it does not stop him from moving forward. Meanwhile, Elizabeth finds herself in a completely different environment, one that strips away everything familiar. She is surrounded by the very people who attacked her home, yet their behavior does not match her expectations. They are not acting like ordinary pirates, and that realization creates a new kind of fear. It is not just about being captured, it is about not understanding the rules of this new situation. The crew of the Black Pearl moves with a strange rhythm, their actions coordinated but unsettling. There is a sense that something is off, something that cannot be explained by normal logic. Elizabeth observes carefully, trying to gather information without drawing attention. Her strength here is not physical, it is mental, as she adapts quickly to her surroundings. When she is brought before Captain Barbassa, the tone shifts again, becoming more focused and intense. Barbassa carries authority in a way that feels grounded and dangerous. He does not need to raise his voice or prove his power, it is already clear in how others respond to him. His presence creates a direct contrast with Jack, showing a different kind of leadership. Their conversation reveals just enough to deepen the mystery without resolving it. Barbassa speaks about the medallion, connecting it to a larger story that remains incomplete. Elizabeth realizes that the object she has kept hidden for years is far more important than she imagined. This knowledge changes her position, giving her a form of leverage, even if she does not fully understand how to use it yet. Back on the journey, Will and Jack reach a point where their cooperation is tested again. Trust remains fragile, and each decision has to be weighed carefully. Jack's focus on reclaiming his ship does not always align with Will's goal of rescuing Elizabeth, and that difference creates tension. Yet they continue forward, because their paths are still connected. The story at this stage is expanding, not just in location but in complexity. Each character is moving through their own version of the conflict, and those paths are slowly beginning to intersect. The ocean ties everything together, acting as both a barrier and a bridge between these separate threads. What stands out here is how the film builds momentum without rushing. Each scene adds a layer, whether it is character development, plot progression, or emotional depth. The pacing remains controlled, allowing moments to breathe while still moving forward. This balance keeps the story engaging, because it never feels stagnant or overwhelming. The contrast between environments continues to shape the tone. Port Royal represents order trying to recover, the Black Pearl represents chaos with purpose, and the open sea represents uncertainty. These spaces are not just settings, they reflect the internal states of the characters moving through them. As alliances begin to form and shift, the stakes become clearer, even if the full picture is still hidden. Elizabeth's situation grows more complex, Will's determination becomes more focused, and Jack's intentions remain just out of reach. Each of these elements pulls the story forward, creating a sense of direction without revealing the destination. The tension does not rely on constant action, it comes from the unknown. Questions build naturally, and answers are given in pieces rather than all at once. This approach keeps the audience engaged, because it invites curiosity instead of satisfying it too quickly. The story feels wider and more connected, but also more uncertain. The characters are no longer in familiar territory, and their choices carry greater consequences. The path ahead is not clear, but it is already shaping into something that will demand more from each of them. The ocean feels different once there is no clear way back, and that shift begins to settle in as Will and Jack continue their journey. The shoreline of Port Royal has long disappeared behind them, replaced by an endless stretch of water that offers no guidance and no reassurance. The silence between them is not empty, it carries a quiet tension, as if both are still deciding how far they can trust the other. Will's focus remains fixed on Elizabeth, while Jack's attention moves in wider circles, always scanning, always calculating. Their partnership exists, but it is still fragile, held together by necessity rather than belief. Jack begins to open up, but only in fragments, never giving a full picture of his past or his intentions. He speaks about the Black Pearl again, this time with more clarity, describing it not just as a ship but as something that was taken from him. There is a personal edge to his words that was not as visible before, suggesting that this is not simply about reclaiming property. It is about restoring something that defines who he is. Will listens carefully, trying to understand how this connects to Elizabeth, and whether Jack's goals will truly align with his own. Their destination becomes clearer as Jack steers them toward Tortuga, a place that exists on the opposite end of Port Royal's rigid structure. If Port Royal represents order and discipline, Tortuga represents freedom without restraint. It is a place where rules are optional, and survival depends on instinct, reputation, and quick decisions. Jack's familiarity with it becomes evident as they approach, his confidence returning in subtle ways, as if he is stepping back into an environment that understands him. Tortuga does not welcome them with calm or stability, it greets them with noise, movement, and a constant sense of unpredictability. People move through the streets with purpose, but that purpose often clashes with others, creating an atmosphere that feels alive but unstable. Will stands out immediately, his posture and behavior marking him as someone who does not belong here. Jack, on the other hand, blends in effortlessly, navigating the chaos as if it were a language he speaks fluently. This contrast highlights one of the film's strengths, the way it uses environments to reflect character. Will's discomfort is not just physical, it shows how far he has stepped outside his usual world. Jack's ease is not just confidence, it reveals where he truly belongs. Their partnership continues, but the balance shifts slightly, with Jack now holding the advantage in understanding their surroundings. Their goal in Tortuga is not random, it is focused on assembling a crew and securing a ship that can take them further. Jack knows exactly who he is looking for, and this introduces another layer to his character. His relationships are built on past interactions, some positive, some clearly strained. Each encounter carries history, even if it is not fully explained, giving the sense that Jack's life has been filled with choices that continue to follow him. One of these encounters brings them to a man named Gibbs, someone who recognizes Jack immediately and responds with a mix of familiarity and caution. Gibbs represents a bridge between Jack's past and present, someone who understands his reputation but also sees his value. Their conversation carries a tone of unfinished business, but it quickly shifts into cooperation once the goal is clear. Will observes all of this, trying to piece together who Jack really is. The more he sees, the more complicated that answer becomes. Jack is not simply a pirate, and he is not simply a trickster. He is both, and something else that remains just out of reach. This ambiguity keeps Will cautious, but it also forces him to adapt, because simple judgments no longer apply. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's situation on the Black Pearl continues to evolve in ways that challenge her understanding of reality. Her interactions with Barbassa reveal more about the curse that binds the crew, though not in a way that fully explains it. There are hints, small details that suggest something unnatural, but the full truth remains hidden. This gradual reveal builds tension, because it creates a sense that something far more dangerous is at play than simple piracy. Elizabeth begins to realize that her value to the crew is tied directly to the medallion, and that knowledge becomes her strongest tool. She uses it carefully, testing how far she can push without losing control of the situation. Her strength here is subtle. It comes from observation and timing rather than force. She is learning quickly, adapting to a world that operates on completely different rules. Back in Tortuga, Jack and Will continue gathering what they need, but their progress is not without conflict. The process of assembling a crew brings challenges, as not everyone is willing to trust Jack or follow him without question. His reputation works both for and against him, opening some doors while closing others. Each interaction requires negotiation, persuasion, or sometimes simple persistence. Will's role in these moments becomes more active, as he begins to contribute rather than just observe. His determination gives him a presence that others start to notice, even if they do not fully respect him yet. He is stepping into a new version of himself, one shaped by the urgency of his goal rather than the limitations of his past. The ship they secure is not the Black Pearl, but it serves as a necessary step forward. Jack accepts this without hesitation, showing that he understands the difference between long-term goals and immediate needs. This decision reflects a practical side of his character that balances his more unpredictable behavior. He is willing to adjust his plans, but he never loses sight of what he ultimately wants. As they prepare to leave Tortuga, the sense of movement returns, but it carries a different weight now. They are no longer reacting to events, they are actively pursuing a path, even if that path is uncertain. The ocean ahead feels less like an obstacle and more like a direction, something that connects them to the next phase of the story. Elizabeth's situation reaches a point where the truth can no longer stay hidden. The curse that affects the crew reveals itself in a way that changes everything she thought she understood. What once seemed like superstition becomes reality, and the danger shifts from physical to something far more unsettling. This moment is not rushed. It unfolds with a careful build that allows the impact to settle fully. Her reaction is controlled, but it carries a depth of fear that is different from anything she has faced before. This is not something she can fight directly, and that forces her to think differently. Survival becomes less about resistance and more about strategy, about finding a way to navigate a situation that defies normal logic. The connection between her and Will remains an unspoken thread that ties their separate journeys together. Even though they are apart, their actions continue to influence each other, creating a sense of parallel movement. This structure keeps the story cohesive, even as it expands into different locations and perspectives. Jack's presence remains a constant source of unpredictability, but also a key driver of the narrative. His decisions push the story forward, even when their immediate purpose is not clear. There is a sense that he understands more than he reveals, and that his actions are guided by a plan that has not been fully shared yet. As the ship leaves Tortuga, carrying Jack, Will, and their newly formed crew, the story enters a phase where intentions begin to take shape. The pieces are moving closer together, and the distance between characters is starting to close. The ocean once again becomes the central space where these paths will intersect. The pacing continues to hold steady, allowing each development to feel earned rather than rushed. There is a clear progression, but it is layered with detail that adds depth to every step. The story does not rely on constant action. It builds tension through anticipation, through the sense that something significant is approaching. By this, the foundation laid in the earlier sections begins to show its purpose. Characters have grown, relationships have shifted, and the stakes have become more defined. The journey is no longer just about reaching a destination, it is about understanding what each character is willing to risk to get there. The tone remains consistent, blending adventure with underlying tension, humor with moments of seriousness. This balance keeps the story engaging, because it never leans too far in one direction. Every element works together to create a world that feels both entertaining and meaningful. The next phase will bring these separate threads closer, forcing decisions that cannot be avoided. The ocean is no longer just a backdrop, it is the space where everything will begin to collide. The sea stretches wide as the ship cuts forward, but the sense of direction now feels sharper than before. Jack stands at the helm with a calm focus, his movements controlled in a way that shows experience rather than luck. The crew, still adjusting to his leadership, watches him closely, unsure whether to trust his instincts or question them. Will remains nearby, his attention fixed on the horizon, as if he expects answers to rise out of the water itself. The journey has shifted from preparation to pursuit, and that change brings a steady tension that never fully settles. There is a rhythm to life on the ship that begins to take shape, built on small tasks and quiet observations. The crew moves with a rough coordination, each person finding their role without needing constant instruction. Will tries to adapt to this environment, learning quickly but never fully blending in. His background continues to set him apart, yet his determination keeps him from falling behind. Jack notices this, though he rarely comments on it directly, choosing instead to let Will prove himself through action. Their conversations become more frequent, but they still carry layers of meaning that are not always clear. Jack shares bits of knowledge about the sea, about navigation, and about the kind of threats that cannot always be seen. These lessons are not delivered like instructions, they come through stories and half-explained examples that force Will to think for himself. This approach creates a dynamic where learning is tied to survival, not just understanding. At one point, Jack brings up the idea of the Black Pearl again, but this time the tone shifts slightly. There is less humor in his voice, replaced by something more focused, almost reflective. He speaks about betrayal, though he does not go into detail, and that single word carries enough weight to suggest a history filled with conflict. Will listens carefully, beginning to realize that Jack's motivations are not just personal, they are tied to something unresolved. This deeper layer adds complexity to their partnership because it introduces goals that may not align perfectly. Will's priority remains clear. He wants to rescue Elizabeth, and everything else is secondary. Jack's goal, while connected, has its own direction, one that may not always match Will's urgency. This difference does not break their cooperation, but it creates an undercurrent of tension that continues to grow. Meanwhile, on the Black Pearl, Elizabeth's understanding of her situation deepens as she observes more of the crew's behavior. The curse that binds them becomes harder to ignore, revealing itself in ways that are both subtle and undeniable. It is not just about appearances, it affects how they move, how they react, and how they exist within the world. This realization changes how Elizabeth approaches every interaction, because she now knows she is dealing with something beyond normal human limits. Barbassa's presence remains steady, his leadership grounded in a confidence that does not need to be proven. He speaks to Elizabeth with a mix of politeness and authority, creating a tone that feels controlled but never friendly. Their conversations carry an intellectual edge, as both try to understand the other without revealing too much. Elizabeth uses her position carefully, asking questions in a way that appears innocent but is actually strategic. The story of the curse begins to take clearer shape through these exchanges, though it is still not fully revealed. There is mention of gold, of a debt that must be repaid, and of a consequence that cannot be escaped. Each detail adds to the mystery, building a picture that feels ancient and heavy with consequence. Elizabeth starts to understand that her role in this situation is not accidental, it is tied directly to the resolution of this curse. Back on the open sea, Jack and his crew follow a path that seems uncertain on the surface but is clearly intentional beneath it. He makes adjustments without explanation, changing direction based on instincts that others do not fully understand. This unpredictability keeps the crew on edge, but it also keeps them moving forward. Will begins to trust the results, even if he does not always trust the process. A moment of quiet reflection comes when the ship slows, allowing the vastness of the ocean to take center stage. The horizon stretches endlessly, and the absence of land creates a sense of isolation that is both calming and unsettling. Will stands alone for a while, thinking about how far he has come from the life he once knew. His journey is no longer just about reaching a destination, it is about becoming someone capable of facing what lies ahead. Jack approaches him during this moment, not with instruction, but with observation. He comments on the sea in a way that feels almost philosophical, suggesting that it reveals who a person truly is when there is nothing else to rely on. This idea lingers, adding depth to the environment itself, turning it into more than just a setting. The ocean becomes a mirror, reflecting the internal state of those who travel across it. Their progress eventually leads them toward a place that feels different from everything they have encountered so far. The island they approach carries an atmosphere that is difficult to define, a mix of beauty and unease that creates immediate curiosity. Jack's reaction to it is subtle, but there is a recognition in his eyes, as if this location holds significance beyond its appearance. When they arrive, the environment reveals itself slowly, showing signs of what once was rather than what is. Remnants of past activity are scattered across the landscape, hinting at stories that have long been forgotten. The air feels still, almost too quiet, as if the island itself is holding its breath. This shift in tone creates a new kind of tension, one that does not rely on movement but on presence. Jack leads the way with confidence, though his pace suggests caution rather than certainty. Will follows closely, aware that this place is not just another stop on their journey. There is a purpose here, something connected to the larger story that is beginning to take shape. The crew remains behind, their role limited for now, as this moment focuses on the two central characters. As they move deeper into the island, the details become more specific, revealing clues that connect to the curse and the medallion. Objects, markings, and fragments of the past begin to align, creating a sense of discovery that feels earned rather than forced. Jack interacts with these elements in a way that shows familiarity, confirming that this is part of his history. Will's understanding grows as he observes, piecing together information that was previously scattered. The connection between Jack, the Black Pearl, and the curse becomes clearer, though it is still not complete. This gradual reveal keeps the tension alive, because it answers some questions while raising others. The dynamic between Jack and Will continues to evolve in this setting, as both are forced to confront aspects of the story that were previously hidden. Jack becomes more serious, less inclined to deflect with humor, while Will becomes more assertive, asking questions that demand real answers. This shift brings them closer to an understanding, but it also highlights the differences that remain. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's situation reaches another turning point as she begins to test the limits of her position. She uses the knowledge she has gained to push back in small ways, challenging the assumptions of those around her. These actions are measured, never reckless, showing a level of control that grows with each interaction. She is no longer just reacting, she is beginning to influence the situation. The parallel movement of these storylines creates a sense of convergence, as if all paths are leading toward a single point. The distance between characters is shrinking, not just physically but narratively. Each decision made in one place begins to echo in another, linking events in ways that feel natural and inevitable. The pacing remains steady, allowing each development to unfold fully before moving on. Important moments are given space to breathe, while smaller transitions maintain the flow without slowing it down. This balance keeps the story engaging, because it never feels rushed or stretched. By this, the stakes have become more personal and more defined. Jack's past is no longer just hinted at, it is beginning to surface. Will's role is no longer passive, it is shaping the direction of the journey. Elizabeth's position is no longer helpless, it is becoming strategic. Each character is moving closer to a point where their choices will carry greater weight. The ocean, the island, and the ship all serve as extensions of the story's tone, reflecting the shifts in tension and focus. The world feels cohesive, with each element contributing to the overall experience. Nothing feels separate, everything is connected through the movement of the characters and the progression of the plot. What comes next will not just build on what has been established, it will begin to test it. The foundations are in place, and the story is ready to push beyond them, bringing the characters into situations that demand more than preparation. The journey continues, but the challenges ahead are already beginning to take form. The island does not reveal everything at once, and that restraint adds to the tension as Jack and will continue exploring deeper into its interior. The ground beneath them shifts from soft sand to uneven rock, marked by signs of time rather than recent activity. There is a sense that this place has been waiting, holding fragments of a story that refuses to disappear. Jack moves with intention, his eyes scanning details that might seem meaningless to anyone else. Will follows closely, trying to understand what exactly they are looking for, even as the importance of this place becomes more obvious. Jack eventually leads them to a hidden cache, a location that feels less like a discovery and more like a memory being revisited. The objects stored here are not random, they are carefully chosen, each carrying a purpose tied to Jack's past. Among them is a compass, simple in appearance but treated with unusual significance. When Jack picks it up, there is a subtle shift in his demeanor, as if this object reconnects him to something he has been missing. The compass becomes a focal point, not because of what it looks like, but because of how Jack explains it. It does not point north, at least not in the traditional sense. Instead, it guides the holder toward what they want most, though that desire must be clear and genuine. This idea introduces a deeper layer to the story, suggesting that direction is not always physical. It can be shaped by intention, by what a person values most in a given moment. Will struggles with this concept at first, because it challenges the straightforward way he approaches problems. He wants clear answers and direct paths, but the compass offers something less predictable. Jack uses this moment to test Will, not with force, but with questions that push him to think differently. What do you truly want, and how far are you willing to go to reach it? These are not simple questions, and the lack of immediate answers creates a quiet tension between them. As they prepare to leave the island, the sense of movement returns, but it carries more purpose now. Jack has regained something important, and Will has gained a new perspective, even if he does not fully accept it yet. The crew remains unaware of the deeper significance of what just happened, focusing instead on the next step of the journey. This separation of knowledge creates an interesting dynamic, where not everyone is operating with the same understanding. Back on the Black Pearl, Elizabeth's position continues to evolve as she becomes more aware of the patterns within the crew's behavior. The curse that binds them is no longer just a concept, it is a constant presence that shapes every interaction. She begins to notice how they react to light, to food, and to the passage of time itself. These details build a clearer picture, one that confirms her earlier suspicions while raising new questions. Her conversations with Barbassa grow more direct, as she begins to challenge him in subtle ways. She does not confront him openly, but she asks questions that force him to reveal more than he might intend. Barbassa responds with a mix of honesty and restraint, giving just enough information to maintain control while keeping the full truth out of reach. This exchange becomes a quiet battle of intellect, where each word carries weight. The story of the cursed gold becomes more defined during these moments, revealing a history rooted in greed and consequence. The crew of the Black Pearl took something they should not have, and now they exist in a state that is neither fully alive nor fully gone. This condition creates a form of existence that is both powerful and limiting, giving them strength while denying them basic human experiences. Elizabeth begins to understand that resolving this curse is not just about returning the gold, it requires something more specific, something tied to identity. This realization places her in a unique position, because she is no longer just a captive. She becomes a necessary part of the solution, and that shifts how the crew interacts with her. There is still danger, but there is also a level of restraint that was not present before. Elizabeth uses this to her advantage, carefully navigating the space between vulnerability and control. Meanwhile, Jack and Will continue their pursuit, now guided by the compass and the information they have gathered. The direction they take feels more precise, though it still carries uncertainty. The ocean remains vast, but it no longer feels aimless. Each adjustment in their course brings them closer to something, even if they cannot see it yet. Will begins to rely more on instinct, influenced by the idea that not everything can be solved through logic alone. This shift is gradual, but it becomes noticeable in how he responds to situations. He starts to trust the process, even when it does not fully make sense, because the results are beginning to align with his goal. This growth adds depth to his character, showing a willingness to adapt rather than remain fixed. Jack observes this change with quiet interest, offering guidance without forcing it. His approach remains indirect, allowing Will to arrive at conclusions on his own. This method strengthens their partnership, creating a sense of mutual respect that was not as strong before. They still have differences, but those differences are now part of their dynamic rather than obstacles. The journey brings them closer to the Black Pearl's path, though the exact location remains uncertain. There are signs, small indicators that suggest they are moving in the right direction. The crew begins to feel the shift as well, their energy changing as the possibility of confrontation becomes more real. Preparation replaces routine, and the atmosphere tightens with anticipation. Elizabeth's situation reaches another critical moment when she decides to act rather than wait. Using the knowledge she has gained, she attempts to influence the crew's decisions in a way that could create an opportunity for escape. This move is risky, because it depends on timing and on how the crew interprets her actions. She balances this carefully, aware that one mistake could remove the leverage she has built. Barbassa responds to her actions with measured attention, recognizing that she is no longer passive. He adjusts his approach, becoming more watchful, but also more engaged. Their interactions take on a sharper edge, as both understand that the situation is shifting. This change adds intensity to their dynamic, making each conversation feel like a step towards something larger. Back on Jack's ship, the sense of nearing their target becomes stronger, though it is not yet confirmed. The compass continues to guide them, its direction steady in a way that suggests clarity of purpose. Jack's confidence grows, but it is controlled, never tipping into certainty. He knows better than to assume the outcome before it arrives. Will's focus sharpens as well, his determination now supported by a growing understanding of the world he has entered. He is no longer reacting blindly, he is making choices based on experience and insight. This evolution strengthens his role in the story, positioning him as more than just someone following Jack's lead. The two paths, one carrying Jack and Will, the other holding Elizabeth and Barbassa, begin to align more closely. The distance between them shrinks, and the likelihood of confrontation becomes inevitable. The story builds toward this point with careful pacing, allowing each element to settle into place before bringing them together. The ocean reflects this tension, its surface calm but its depth unpredictable. It becomes a space where anything can happen, where plans can succeed or fail without warning. This unpredictability keeps the narrative engaging, because it prevents any sense of certainty from taking hold. The story has moved from exploration to approach. The groundwork has been laid, the characters have grown, and the stakes have become more personal. The next steps will bring action, but they will also test the choices that have been made so far. Every element now feels connected, from the compass guiding Jack to the curse shaping Barbassa's crew. The pieces are no longer scattered, they are beginning to form a clear pattern. What remains uncertain is how that pattern will resolve, and what each character will have to sacrifice to reach that resolution. The distance between both paths begins to close in a way that feels almost inevitable, as if the sea itself is guiding them toward a collision. Jack stands near the helm, the compass steady in his hand, its needle no longer drifting but pointing with quiet certainty. That small detail changes the energy on board, because it signals that they are no longer searching. They are approaching. The crew senses it too, even if no one says it directly, and their movements grow sharper, more focused. Will feels that shift deeply, his thoughts narrowing until everything comes back to one point: Elizabeth. The wind carries a different weight as they move forward, steady but not aggressive, like a force that supports rather than pushes. Jack adjusts the sails with precision, not wasting motion, not overcorrecting. His confidence here is controlled, shaped by experience rather than impulse. Will watches closely, beginning to understand that Jack's unpredictability has structure beneath it. There is a method, even if it is not always obvious. Their conversation during this stretch of the journey carries more honesty than before, though it still avoids complete clarity. Will presses for direction, for a clearer plan, but Jack responds in a way that blends truth with deflection. He explains just enough to maintain trust, while keeping certain details to himself. This balance keeps the tension alive between them, because cooperation exists, but full alignment does not. At one point, Jack allows a rare moment of directness, admitting that the Black Pearl is not just his goal, it is something he believes should never have been taken from him. There is no humor in that statement, no performance, just a simple assertion that carries weight. Will recognizes the importance of that moment, even if he does not fully understand its depth. It adds another layer to Jack's character, showing that beneath the charm and misdirection, there is a core that is steady and driven. Meanwhile, aboard the Black Pearl, Elizabeth's position reaches a level where observation alone is no longer enough. She has gathered knowledge, tested boundaries, and built a sense of how the crew operates. Now she begins to act with more intention, shaping her behavior to create opportunities rather than simply respond to situations. This shift is subtle but significant, because it marks a move from survival to influence. The crew continues their routine, but the curse that binds them becomes more visible with each passing moment. Their interactions with the environment reveal the limits of their existence, and those limits create frustration that sits just beneath the surface. Barbassa remains in control, but even he cannot escape the reality of what they have become. This shared condition unites the crew, but it also traps them, creating a constant tension between power and restriction. Elizabeth uses this understanding carefully, choosing moments where her words can have the greatest impact. She questions Barbassa again, this time with more confidence, pushing for clarity about what is required to lift the curse. Barbassa responds with a measured explanation, revealing more of the truth while still holding back key details. The curse is tied to a specific set of actions, a debt that must be repaid completely, not partially. This idea of completeness becomes important, because it introduces the possibility that something is still missing. Elizabeth begins to suspect that the medallion alone is not enough, that there is another element required to break the curse fully. This realization adds urgency to her thinking, because it means time is not on her side. The longer the crew remains in this state, the more desperate they may become. Back on Jack's ship, the horizon finally offers a sign, a silhouette that breaks the endless line of water and sky. It is distant, barely visible at first, but it grows clearer as they move closer. The Black Pearl. Its presence changes everything in an instant, turning anticipation into immediate tension. The crew reacts with a mix of excitement and caution, because this is not just a target, it is a confrontation waiting to happen. Will's reaction is more personal, his focus sharpening until nothing else matters. The sight of the ship confirms that Elizabeth is within reach, but it also reminds him of the danger that surrounds her. His determination intensifies, but so does the pressure, because the moment he has been moving toward is now directly ahead. Jack's response is different, though no less intense. There is recognition in his eyes, but also something more controlled, as if he is measuring the situation before acting. He does not rush, does not let emotion override his judgment. Instead, he studies the ship, the distance, the positioning, building a plan in real time. This contrast between him and Will highlights their different approaches, one driven by urgency, the other by strategy. The approach is careful, avoiding direct detection while closing the gap. Jack uses the environment to his advantage, adjusting their path in a way that minimizes exposure. The crew follows his lead, their earlier uncertainty replaced by a focused readiness. Every movement feels deliberate, each decision contributing to the larger goal. At the same time, aboard the Black Pearl, there is a subtle shift in atmosphere, as if something has been sensed before it is seen. The crew becomes more alert, their behavior reflecting an awareness that something is approaching. Barbassa notices this as well, though he does not react immediately. His confidence remains, but it is now paired with attention, a readiness to respond. Elizabeth picks up on this change, recognizing that the situation is about to evolve. She watches carefully, looking for any sign that could indicate what is coming next. Her position remains controlled, but the possibility of movement begins to open, creating a new layer of tension. Jack decides on a course of action that avoids direct confrontation, at least for now. He chooses stealth over force, understanding that a head-on approach would not work in their favor. This decision reflects his ability to assess risk, prioritizing long-term success over immediate action. Will struggles with this choice, his instinct pushing him toward a more direct path, but he holds back, trusting that Jack's experience may offer a better chance. The execution of this plan requires precision, as even a small mistake could expose them. The ship moves quietly, its presence blending into the environment as much as possible. The crew remains silent, their focus on maintaining control rather than reacting to the tension. This restraint adds to the intensity because it delays the inevitable while making it feel closer. As night begins to settle, the contrast between light and shadow becomes more pronounced, creating opportunities as well as risks. Jack uses this to their advantage, positioning the ship in a way that maximizes concealment. The Black Pearl remains within sight, but not within reach, at least not yet. The distance between them feels charged, filled with the weight of what is about to happen. Will prepares himself, checking his equipment, steadying his thoughts. His journey has brought him to this point, and there is no turning back now. The uncertainty that once surrounded him has been replaced by a clear purpose, even if the outcome remains unknown. This clarity strengthens him, giving him the focus needed to face what lies ahead. Elizabeth, on the other side of this approaching conflict, continues to hold her position, unaware of exactly when or how the situation will change. Her awareness keeps her ready, her mind working through possibilities as she waits for an opening. The connection between her and Will, though distant, feels closer than ever as their paths move toward the same moment. The pacing slows slightly here, allowing the tension to build fully before it is released. Every detail matters, from the movement of the ships to the choices each character makes in preparation. This careful build-up ensures that when action comes, it carries the weight of everything that has led up to it. The story stands at the edge of confrontation, with all elements aligned and ready to collide. The separation between characters has nearly closed, and the decisions made in the next moments will define what comes after. The ocean, once a space of distance, has become the stage where everything will unfold. Night settles fully over the sea, and with it comes a stillness that feels almost deliberate, as if the world itself is holding back in anticipation. The Black Pearl drifts in the distance, its dark silhouette blending into the horizon, yet its presence remains unmistakable. Jack's ship moves with careful restraint, every adjustment made to avoid drawing attention. The crew understands the stakes now, their earlier uncertainty replaced by a quiet focus that sharpens the atmosphere. Will stands near the edge, his eyes fixed forward, his thoughts narrowed to a single purpose that leaves no room for hesitation. Jack studies the situation with patience, allowing time to work in his favor rather than rushing into action. His movements are minimal, but each one carries intention, as if he is placing pieces on a board only he can fully see. The compass rests in his hand, steady and certain, reinforcing that they are exactly where they need to be. This confidence does not come from arrogance, it comes from experience, from understanding how moments like this unfold when given space. The plan begins to take shape in quiet exchanges, spoken in low voices that carry urgency without panic. Jack outlines a path that relies on precision rather than force, a way to reach the Black Pearl without triggering an immediate response. Will listens closely, absorbing each detail, though his instinct still leans toward direct action. The difference between them remains clear, but it no longer feels like a conflict. It feels like two approaches moving toward the same goal. As the ship edges closer, the distance between them and the Black Pearl becomes tangible, no longer just a line on the horizon but a space that can be crossed. The water reflects faint light, creating shifting patterns that both conceal and reveal movement. Jack uses this to their advantage, timing their approach with a level of care that slows everything down. Each second stretches, filled with the weight of what could go wrong. Will prepares to move, his body tense but controlled, ready to act the moment the opportunity appears. His journey has brought him to this point, and there is a clarity in his expression that was not present before. He is no longer uncertain, no longer questioning whether he belongs here. He has chosen this path fully, and that choice gives him a steadiness that matches the moment. The transition from waiting to action happens without warning, a shift so smooth that it feels almost inevitable. Jack signals, and the movement begins, quiet and deliberate, as they close the final distance. The crew works in silence, their coordination reflecting the preparation that led to this point. There is no room for error, no space for hesitation, only the execution of what has been planned. Will moves first, following Jack's lead as they cross into the space controlled by the Black Pearl. The change in environment is immediate, even before any direct confrontation occurs. The air feels heavier, the silence more intense, as if the ship itself carries a presence that extends beyond its physical form. This sensation adds to the tension, creating a sense that they have stepped into something larger than a simple boarding. On the Black Pearl, the crew remains unaware for a brief moment longer, their attention focused elsewhere. This gap, small but critical, allows Jack and Will to move into position without detection. It is a fragile advantage, one that will not last, but it is enough to set the next phase into motion. Jack navigates the space with familiarity, his movements confident even in the darkness. Will follows closely, his awareness heightened, every sound and shadow carrying potential meaning. He moves carefully, balancing speed with caution, understanding that one misstep could change everything. The tension builds with each step, not through noise or chaos, but through the quiet intensity of being close to discovery. At the same time, Elizabeth senses a shift, though she cannot yet see its source. The atmosphere around her changes in subtle ways, a slight difference in how the crew moves, a faint tension that was not there before. Her instincts respond immediately, her attention sharpening as she looks for the cause. This awareness keeps her ready, even as the exact nature of the moment remains unclear. Jack and Will reach a point where the next move requires precision beyond simple movement. They must locate Elizabeth without alerting the entire crew, a task that demands both awareness and timing. Jack pauses, listening, observing, allowing the environment to guide him. This moment of stillness is not hesitation, it is calculation, a way to ensure that the next step is taken with purpose. Will feels the weight of this pause, his urgency pressing against the need for restraint. Every second feels longer than the last, his focus pulling him forward even as he holds his position. This internal conflict adds depth to the moment, showing how close he is to acting on instinct alone. Yet he remains still, trusting that the right moment will come. When movement resumes, it is guided by subtle cues rather than clear signals. Jack leads them through the ship with a quiet confidence, avoiding paths that would expose them. His knowledge of the Black Pearl becomes evident, suggesting a history that goes beyond simple ownership. This familiarity gives them an edge, but it also raises questions that Will does not yet have time to ask. Elizabeth's situation reaches a point where waiting is no longer an option. The changes she senses push her to act, even without full information. She shifts her position slightly, testing the reactions of those around her, looking for an opening. This decision carries risk, but it also creates possibility, a chance to influence the outcome rather than be carried by it. The paths of these characters begin to converge within the confined space of the ship, each step bringing them closer to direct interaction. The tension builds steadily, not through sudden action, but through the awareness that something is about to happen. Every movement feels significant, every choice carrying potential consequences. Jack finally locates Elizabeth, the moment unfolding with a quiet intensity that contrasts with the chaos expected in a situation like this. There is no immediate explosion of action, no sudden confrontation, just a recognition that connects the separate threads of the story. Will sees her as well, and the relief that follows is immediate but controlled, held in check by the need to remain unseen. Elizabeth reacts quickly, understanding the situation without needing explanation. Her composure remains intact, even as the possibility of escape becomes real. This moment highlights her growth, showing how far she has come from the uncertainty of earlier events. She is not just being rescued, she is actively part of what comes next. The plan shifts in real time, adapting to the presence of all three characters in the same space. Jack takes the lead, adjusting their approach based on new variables, while Will focuses on staying close to Elizabeth. The balance between strategy and urgency becomes more delicate as the margin for error narrows. The crew of the Black Pearl begins to sense the disturbance more clearly now, their awareness sharpening as signs of intrusion become harder to ignore. The window for quiet movement starts to close, and the situation moves toward inevitable confrontation. The tension that has been building reaches a point where it can no longer remain contained. By the end of this part, the story stands on the edge of direct conflict, with all major characters finally brought into the same space. The careful buildup of tension prepares the ground for what is about to unfold, ensuring that the coming action carries the full weight of everything that has led to it. The stillness of the night no longer feels calm, it feels charged, ready to break. The silence does not break all at once, it fractures in small, sharp moments that quickly spiral into full awareness. A single sound, barely noticeable at first, shifts the attention of the crew, and that is all it takes. What was once controlled movement turns into immediate tension, as eyes begin to scan the darkness with purpose. The advantage Jack and Will held starts to slip, not because of a mistake, but because time has simply run out. The space they occupy is no longer hidden, and the confrontation they tried to delay begins to take shape. Jack reacts first, not with panic, but with adjustment. His plan changes in an instant, shifting from stealth to controlled disruption. He understands that escaping unnoticed is no longer possible, so the focus moves to creating confusion. This ability to pivot without hesitation reveals a deeper level of experience, one that goes beyond simple planning. Will follows his lead, though his attention remains fixed on Elizabeth, ensuring she stays close as the situation begins to escalate. Elizabeth does not freeze in this moment, she adapts, her earlier observations guiding her reactions. She moves with awareness, staying aligned with Jack and Will, understanding that survival now depends on coordination. The three of them form a temporary unit, not through discussion, but through instinct. Each action connects to the next, creating a flow that keeps them just ahead of being fully surrounded. The crew of the Black Pearl responds quickly, their earlier calm replaced by sharp, focused movement. They spread across the ship with precision, blocking paths and tightening control over the space. Barbassa emerges with a presence that immediately anchors the chaos, his authority cutting through the noise. His attention locks onto the situation, assessing it with a clarity that shows he is not easily caught off guard. The confrontation that follows is not immediate in the sense of physical clash. It begins with a standoff, a moment where both sides measure each other. Jack stands with a relaxed posture that contrasts with the tension around him, his expression unreadable. Will positions himself slightly forward, his focus clear, his intent impossible to miss. Elizabeth remains composed, her presence no longer that of a captive, but of someone actively shaping the moment. Barbassa's response carries a mix of recognition and calculation. He does not rush forward, he does not escalate without reason. Instead, he speaks, his tone steady, as if this encounter was always a possibility he had prepared for. The exchange between him and Jack carries history, even if it is not fully explained. There is familiarity, but also conflict, a sense that their connection is rooted in something unresolved. Jack answers in his usual way, blending humor with intent, but there is a sharper edge to his words now. The performance remains, but it is more controlled, more precise. This is not distraction for its own sake, it is part of a strategy, a way to keep Barbassa engaged while creating space for movement. Will listens, though his patience is thin, his priority still centered on getting Elizabeth away from danger. The tension breaks when movement becomes unavoidable, shifting the standoff into action. The space that once held careful stillness now fills with rapid motion, as both sides respond to the changing conditions. Jack uses the environment to his advantage, moving through the ship with familiarity, turning obstacles into opportunities. Will stays close to Elizabeth, his actions direct and focused, creating a path where none exists. The crew presses in, their coordination making escape difficult, but not impossible. Each step forward requires adjustment, every movement carrying risk. The fight is not just physical, it is spatial, a constant negotiation of position and timing. Jack thrives in this environment, his unpredictability becoming an asset, keeping the crew off balance even as they close in. Elizabeth contributes in ways that reflect her growth, using awareness and timing to avoid being cornered. She does not rely on others to carry her through the situation. She actively participates, making choices that support their movement. This involvement changes the dynamic, turning her from someone being protected into someone contributing to the effort. Barbassa observes the unfolding chaos with a level of control that sets him apart from the rest of his crew. He does not chase recklessly, he positions himself, waiting for the right moment to intervene. His patience mirrors Jack's in a different way, creating a balance between the two that adds depth to their conflict. This is not just about stopping an escape, it is about understanding how to win the situation entirely. The curse that binds the crew begins to reveal itself more clearly during the confrontation, especially as the environment shifts with the changing light. What once seemed like normal movement takes on a different quality, something unnatural that becomes harder to ignore. This detail adds another layer to the tension, because it changes how the conflict is perceived. The rules are not entirely human, and that affects every decision made. Will witnesses this more directly now, his understanding catching up with what Elizabeth has already begun to accept. The realization does not slow him down, but it changes how he approaches the situation. He adapts quickly, focusing less on conventional methods and more on what works in the moment. This flexibility shows how far he has come, transforming from someone bound by structure into someone capable of navigating chaos. Jack continues to guide their movement, his awareness extending beyond immediate threats to the broader situation. He anticipates reactions, adjusts paths, and uses distractions to maintain momentum. His leadership here is not about control, it is about flow, keeping the situation dynamic enough to prevent being overwhelmed. As they move toward the edge of the ship, the possibility of escape becomes more tangible, though still uncertain. The distance to the water below feels both close and far, depending on how the moment unfolds. The crew tightens their formation, closing gaps, reducing options. The tension peaks here, balancing on the edge of resolution and failure. Elizabeth makes a choice in this moment that reflects her understanding of what is at stake. She does not hesitate, she commits, aligning her actions with the path Jack and Will are creating. This decision reinforces her role as an active participant, shaping the outcome rather than reacting to it. The three of them move as one, their coordination the only thing keeping them ahead. Barbassa steps in at the critical moment, his timing precise, his presence impossible to ignore. The space shifts again, the balance changing as he enters directly into the conflict. His focus is clear, his intent steady, and the advantage begins to tilt. Jack responds immediately, adjusting without pause, meeting Barbassa's move with one of his own. The clash between them carries more than physical tension. It reflects the history hinted at earlier, a connection built on past actions that still influence the present. Their interaction is sharp, controlled, each testing the other while managing the broader situation. Will remains focused on Elizabeth, ensuring that this exchange does not pull them off course. The moment stretches, filled with rapid decisions and shifting positions, until the possibility of escape finally opens. It is not clean, not perfect, but it is enough. Jack seizes it without hesitation, pulling the movement forward, breaking through the narrowing space. Will follows, keeping Elizabeth close, their path defined by urgency rather than clarity. The transition from confrontation to escape happens in a surge, a release of the tension that has been building throughout the sequence. The edge of the ship is no longer a boundary, it becomes the next step, the only step that leads away from immediate capture. The water below waits, uncertain but necessary. The story has moved fully into active conflict, with the careful buildup of earlier sections paying off in a sequence that feels both intense and earned. The characters are no longer separated by distance or uncertainty, they are directly shaping the outcome of events in real time. The escape is not complete, the danger is not over, but the momentum has shifted in a way that changes what comes next. The drop from the ship into open water does not feel like escape at first, it feels like stepping into another layer of uncertainty. The impact breaks the tension of the moment, but only briefly, because the danger has not disappeared, it has only changed form. The sea surrounds them, vast and indifferent, offering distance but no safety. Will keeps hold of Elizabeth, ensuring she stays above the surface, while Jack reorients himself almost instantly, scanning their surroundings with practiced awareness. The Black Pearl looms above for a moment longer, its presence still dominating the space even as they move away from it. There is no pause to recover, no time to reflect on what just happened. The focus shifts immediately to survival, to creating distance before the crew can respond effectively. Jack signals toward a direction that seems uncertain at first, but his confidence gives it weight. Will follows without question, his attention split between keeping Elizabeth steady and moving forward with enough speed to matter. The water slows them down, turning every movement into effort, but they push through it because stopping is not an option. Above them, the reaction on the Black Pearl is swift and coordinated. The crew regroups quickly, their earlier disruption replaced by renewed focus. Barbassa does not rush into reckless pursuit, he observes first, assessing how the situation has changed. His restraint suggests confidence, as if he believes the escape is temporary rather than permanent. This calm response adds pressure to the moment, because it implies that the danger is still very much present. Jack leads them toward a point where the water begins to feel less exposed, a subtle shift that suggests he has a destination in mind. The darkness works in their favor now, concealing movement, creating space where there was none before. Will begins to trust this direction fully, no longer questioning Jack's instincts, because the alternative offers no better option. Elizabeth stays focused, her composure holding even as the situation remains uncertain. When they finally reach a small, hidden stretch of land, it does not feel like victory, it feels like a temporary pause. The ground beneath their feet offers stability, but the proximity of the Black Pearl keeps the tension alive. Jack moves quickly, not allowing the moment to settle, guiding them further into cover. His awareness of the environment remains sharp, using every advantage available to extend their distance. Will helps Elizabeth onto solid ground, his concern for her immediate and clear, but he does not let it slow him down. The urgency remains, shaping every action, every decision. Elizabeth regains her footing quickly, her strength evident in how she adapts to the shift from water to land. There is no hesitation in her movements, only a focus that matches the situation. Jack takes a moment to assess their position, his gaze moving between the shoreline and the open sea. The Black Pearl remains visible, though slightly farther now, its silhouette a constant reminder of what they are up against. He understands that this is not a complete escape, it is a repositioning, a chance to act rather than react. This distinction shapes his next move, turning the moment into an opportunity rather than a retreat. The conversation that follows between the three of them carries a different tone than before, shaped by shared experience rather than uncertainty. Will's urgency remains, but it is now supported by a clearer understanding of the situation. Elizabeth contributes more directly, her knowledge of the curse and the crew adding valuable insight. Jack listens, processing this information in a way that connects to his own goals. The medallion becomes central again, not just as an object, but as a key to everything unfolding. Elizabeth explains what she has learned, how the crew is bound to it, how their condition depends on something incomplete. This revelation aligns with Jack's own knowledge, filling in gaps that bring the larger picture into focus. The curse is no longer a distant concept, it is a tangible force that shapes every decision. Will reacts to this information with a mix of determination and frustration. The idea that something so specific controls the outcome adds pressure, because it means their actions must be precise. There is no room for error, no space for guesswork. This realization sharpens his focus even further, turning his urgency into something more controlled. Jack begins to outline a new plan, one that shifts from escape to confrontation. His approach is not reckless, it is calculated, built on understanding how the curse can be used as an advantage. He explains that simply running will not solve anything, that the situation must be addressed directly. This shift in strategy marks a turning point, moving the story from reaction to intention. Elizabeth listens carefully, recognizing that this plan aligns with what she has already begun to understand. The curse is not just a threat, it is also a weakness, something that can be exploited if approached correctly. Her role becomes more defined here, as she holds a piece of the solution that no one else can provide. This realization strengthens her position, giving her a sense of control that was not present before. Meanwhile, on the Black Pearl, Barbassa reaches his own conclusion about the situation. The escape does not unsettle him, it refocuses him, confirming that the elements he needs are now within reach. His confidence remains intact, shaped by a belief that the outcome will still favor him. This perspective adds weight to the coming confrontation, because it shows that both sides are moving forward with intention. The crew prepares to act again, their earlier disruption replaced by readiness. The ship adjusts its position, not in pursuit, but in anticipation. This choice reflects Barbassa's strategy, waiting for the right moment rather than chasing blindly. It creates a sense of inevitability, as if the next encounter is already set. Back on the island, Jack continues refining the plan, adjusting details based on what he has learned. His focus remains steady, his movements deliberate, showing a level of control that contrasts with his earlier unpredictability. Will and Elizabeth align with this approach, their roles becoming clearer as the plan takes shape. The environment around them reflects this shift, the quiet of the island carrying a different kind of tension than the open sea. It feels contained, focused, as if the space itself is preparing for what is about to happen. The distance between them and the Black Pearl no longer feels like separation, it feels like a setup. Will takes a moment to steady himself, his thoughts aligning with the path ahead. His journey has brought him through uncertainty, through adaptation, and now into a position where he must act with precision. The emotional weight remains, but it is now balanced by clarity, giving him the strength to move forward. Elizabeth stands beside him, her presence no longer defined by circumstance, but by choice. She has stepped into a role that carries responsibility, and she accepts it fully. Her understanding of the curse, combined with her composure, makes her an essential part of what comes next. Jack, positioned between them, acts as the link that connects their intentions into a single direction. His experience, his knowledge, and his ability to adapt bring structure to the plan, turning possibility into action. The dynamic between the three of them feels complete now, each contributing in a way that supports the others. The story has shifted fully into preparation for resolution, with both sides aware of what must be done. The escape has created space, but it has also clarified the stakes. The next steps will not be about avoiding conflict, they will be about facing it directly, with everything that has been built so far coming into play. The island no longer feels like a place to hide, it feels like a place to decide. The pause that followed their escape begins to tighten into something more focused, as if every second spent here carries weight. Jack moves with quiet intent, no longer reacting to shifting circumstances, but shaping them. Will and Elizabeth stand close, not out of fear, but out of alignment, their shared understanding stronger than anything that existed between them before. The plan is no longer an idea, it is becoming action, and that transition changes the tone completely. Jack studies the coastline, his attention shifting between the horizon and the details of the land around them. The Black Pearl remains visible in the distance, steady and patient, like a presence that knows it will not be avoided. This stillness creates pressure, because it suggests confidence from the other side. Jack recognizes this immediately, and instead of seeing it as a threat, he treats it as information. If Barbassa is waiting, then there is a reason, and that reason can be used. He begins to explain the next steps, his voice steady, his words precise. The curse, the medallion, and the missing piece all connect to one point, a moment that must be handled correctly. This is not about overpowering the crew, it is about forcing the right conditions at the right time. Will listens closely, his focus absolute, while Elizabeth processes each detail with a growing sense of control. The uncertainty that once defined their situation has narrowed into a clear path, even if that path carries risk. The idea is simple on the surface but complex in execution. They must confront Barbassa and his crew in a way that completes the conditions of the curse while also breaking their advantage. Timing becomes everything, because acting too soon or too late could undo everything. Jack emphasizes this without over-explaining, trusting that both Will and Elizabeth understand what is at stake. This trust marks a shift in their dynamic, turning them into partners rather than individuals working toward the same goal. Will prepares himself in a way that reflects how much he has changed. There is no hesitation left, no questioning of whether he belongs in this moment. His actions are deliberate, his focus steady, his purpose clear. He is no longer reacting to events, he is stepping into them with intention. This transformation is not loud or dramatic. It shows in how he carries himself, in the way he listens, in the way he moves. Elizabeth mirrors this shift in her own way, her strength now rooted in understanding rather than circumstance. She holds the medallion with awareness, recognizing its importance not just as an object, but as a key to resolution. Her composure remains intact, even as the pressure builds, showing a level of control that matches the moment. She is no longer navigating blindly, she knows what must be done. Jack, standing between them, brings the final layer of structure to the plan. His unpredictability remains, but it is now clearly guided by intention. Every move he makes, every word he chooses, connects back to the outcome he is working toward. This clarity does not remove the risk, but it gives direction to their actions, turning uncertainty into strategy. The decision to return to the Black Pearl is made without hesitation, because there is no alternative that leads to resolution. The path forward is direct, even if the execution is not. Jack signals the crew, and the ship begins to move once more, leaving the temporary safety of the island behind. The ocean opens up again, but it no longer feels endless. It feels like a bridge leading to a single point. As they approach, the tension builds steadily, not through sudden shifts, but through the awareness of what lies ahead. The Black Pearl grows larger with each passing moment, its presence filling more of the horizon. The distance that once provided separation now feels like a countdown, each wave bringing them closer to confrontation. On the Black Pearl, Barbassa watches their approach with a calm that borders on certainty. He does not prepare for defense in a frantic way. He prepares with control, positioning his crew, setting the stage. His confidence suggests that he believes the outcome is already within his grasp. This belief adds weight to the moment, because it sets up a clash not just of action, but of perspective. The two ships close the gap, the space between them shrinking until it can no longer hold the tension. The transition from distance to proximity happens smoothly, but it carries a shift that is impossible to ignore. This is no longer preparation, this is the moment everything has been building toward. Jack steps forward first, his posture relaxed, his expression composed, as if this meeting is something he has already rehearsed. Will stands beside him, his focus unbroken, ready to act when the time comes. Elizabeth remains close, her role clear, her presence steady. The three of them form a unified front, not through force, but through alignment. Barbassa responds with equal composure, his attention fixed, his movements controlled. The exchange that begins between him and Jack carries a different weight than before, because now both understand what is at stake. There is no need for prolonged tension, no need for extended negotiation. The moment demands precision, and both sides know it. Jack begins to steer the interaction toward the conditions required to break the curse, guiding the conversation in a way that creates the opportunity he needs. His words carry layers, each one serving a purpose beyond its surface meaning. Barbassa listens, aware that something is unfolding, but not yet fully seeing how it connects. Will and Elizabeth remain ready, their roles tied to the exact timing of what must happen. The medallion, the missing element, the final step, all of it aligns toward a single moment that cannot be rushed. The tension here is not loud, it is focused, concentrated into a point that continues to tighten. As the pieces move into place, the environment itself seems to respond, the air growing heavier, the space more charged. The curse, which has lingered in the background for so long, now feels present, as if it is waiting for resolution as much as the characters are. This presence adds depth to the moment, turning it into something more than a simple confrontation. Jack's plan begins to reveal itself fully, not through explanation, but through action. Each step connects to the next, creating a sequence that moves with precision. Will follows through on his part, his timing exact, his focus unwavering. Elizabeth completes the final piece, her understanding guiding her actions at the critical moment. Barbassa reacts, but the shift comes too late to fully regain control. The balance changes in an instant, the advantage that once defined his position beginning to slip. The curse, which gave him strength, now becomes a point of vulnerability, its conditions turning against him. This reversal is not chaotic, it is precise, the result of everything that has been built up to this point. The confrontation intensifies, but it is no longer about escape or delay. It is about resolution, about bringing the story to the point it has been moving towards since the beginning. Every character is fully engaged, their roles clear, their actions aligned with the outcome they seek. The story reaches the edge of its final turning point, with the outcome within reach but not yet fully realized. The tension remains, but it has shifted from uncertainty to inevitability. The next moments will determine how everything concludes, bringing together the threads that have been carefully developed across the journey. The moment hangs with a sharp intensity, as if everything pauses just long enough for the outcome to take shape before it fully arrives. What Jack set into motion does not explode into chaos. It unfolds with precision, each piece landing exactly where it needs to. The curse, which has defined the power of Barbassa and his crew, begins to shift in a way that changes the balance completely. It is not a visible force, but its presence is felt in how the crew reacts, in how the atmosphere itself tightens. Barbassa senses the change immediately, his confidence cracking for the first time, though only slightly. He does not panic, but there is a recognition in his eyes that something has moved beyond his control. That small shift is enough to alter the dynamic, because it breaks the certainty he relied on. Jack watches this closely, his expression steady, knowing that this is the opening he has been working toward. Will steps forward into this moment with a clarity that defines his transformation. There is no hesitation left in him, no uncertainty about what needs to be done. His actions are direct, guided by everything he has learned and everything he has become. The emotional weight he carried earlier now fuels his focus rather than distracting from it. He is fully present, fully committed. Elizabeth holds her position with equal strength, her role in completing the conditions of the curse already fulfilled. What she set into motion cannot be undone, and that knowledge gives her a quiet confidence. She watches the shift unfold, understanding that this moment is not just about survival, it is about resolution. Her journey has brought her here, to a place where her choices carry real impact. The crew begins to feel the loss of what once made them untouchable. Their movements change, their reactions slowing in ways that reveal the difference. The unnatural advantage that defined them begins to fade, and with it comes a new vulnerability. This transition is not dramatic in appearance, but it is absolute in effect. The balance has shifted, and there is no returning to what was before. Barbassa responds with force, not because he believes it will restore control, but because it is the only path left. His focus narrows, his actions becoming more direct, less calculated than before. The layered patience that defined him gives way to urgency, and that change exposes him. Jack meets this shift without losing his composure, adapting instantly, maintaining control over the flow of the moment. The confrontation between them sharpens, no longer defined by strategy alone, but by execution. Each move carries weight, each decision immediate in its consequence. Jack's style remains fluid, unpredictable, while Barbassa's becomes more forceful, more focused on ending the conflict quickly. This contrast creates a dynamic where control shifts back and forth in small, rapid moments. Will remains engaged not as an observer, but as an active force shaping the outcome. His presence adds pressure to the situation, forcing Barbassa to divide his attention. This division weakens Barbassa's position further, creating openings that would not have existed otherwise. Will's growth becomes clear here, not through words, but through action that directly influences the course of events. Elizabeth watches for the moment where her role shifts again, ready to act if needed. Her awareness remains sharp, her understanding of the curse giving her insight into how the situation might unfold. She is no longer reacting to events, she is anticipating them, prepared to step in if the balance begins to tilt the wrong way. The environment around them reflects the intensity of the moment, the ship no longer just a setting, but a confined space where every movement matters. The ocean surrounds them, but it feels distant now, as if the focus has narrowed entirely to what is happening on deck. The world has shrunk to this single confrontation, where everything will be decided. Jack maintains his control through adaptability, never committing fully to one approach, always ready to shift. This flexibility keeps Barbassa off balance, preventing him from regaining a steady footing. It is not brute strength that gives Jack the advantage, it is timing, awareness, and the ability to read the moment as it unfolds. Barbassa, now fully aware of what has been lost, pushes forward with determination that borders on desperation. His actions are still precise, but they carry a weight that was not there before. The certainty that once guided him has been replaced by the need to regain control, and that need creates pressure. This pressure becomes visible in small ways, in how he moves, in how he reacts. Will finds his moment within this shifting balance, a point where everything aligns just long enough for him to act decisively. His focus narrows completely, the world around him fading into the background as he commits to the action. This moment is not accidental, it is the result of everything that has led him here, every choice, every step forward. The impact of that action shifts the confrontation toward its final stage, breaking the remaining balance that Barbassa held. The control he once had is gone, replaced by a reality he cannot reverse. Jack recognizes this instantly, adjusting his position to ensure that the outcome follows through completely. There is no hesitation, no pause, only the continuation of what has already been set in motion. Elizabeth watches as the final pieces fall into place, her understanding of the curse allowing her to see the significance of what is happening. This is not just the end of a conflict, it is the resolution of something that has existed far longer than this moment. The weight of that history settles, giving the outcome a sense of finality. The crew of the Black Pearl reacts to the shift with a mix of confusion and realization, their connection to the curse dissolving in ways they can no longer ignore. The power that defined them is gone, replaced by something far more human. This transition changes everything, not just for the confrontation, but for what comes after. Jack steps back slightly, not out of retreat, but because his role in the moment has been fulfilled. His plan has worked, not through force, but through understanding and timing. The unpredictability that defined him has led to a precise outcome, one that reflects the depth of his character. Will stands steady, the intensity of the moment settling into something more grounded. His journey has brought him through uncertainty into action, and now into resolution. The weight he carried finds release, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet certainty that what needed to be done has been done. Elizabeth remains composed, her strength evident in how she holds herself even as the tension fades. Her role in this outcome is clear, her choices shaping the direction of the story in ways that cannot be undone. She has moved from uncertainty into control, from reaction into influence. The confrontation reaches its conclusion not with chaos, but with a controlled finality that reflects the build-up leading to it. Every element, from the curse to the characters, has played its part in bringing the story to this point. The resolution feels earned, not rushed, because it grows directly from what has been established. As the moment settles, the energy begins to shift, the intensity giving way to something quieter. The immediate conflict is over, but the consequences remain, shaping what comes next. The ship, the ocean, the characters, all carry the weight of what has just happened. The story has moved through its central conflict and into the beginning of its resolution. The major turning point has been reached, and the outcome is no longer uncertain. What remains is to see how the characters carry this forward, and what it means for the paths they will take next. The tension does not disappear instantly after the confrontation, it lingers in the air like a quiet echo of everything that just unfolded. The ship feels different now, not because of any visible change, but because the force that once defined it is gone. The crew stands in a kind of stillness, adjusting to a reality that has shifted beneath them. What once gave them power has been stripped away, leaving behind something far more human and uncertain. This transition is not loud or dramatic. It settles slowly, shaping the atmosphere in a way that is impossible to ignore. Jack moves through this moment with a calm that suggests he expected nothing less. His role in the confrontation has ended, but his awareness remains sharp, already considering what comes next. He does not linger on the outcome, he accepts it, allowing the story to move forward without hesitation. This ability to transition smoothly reflects his nature, always focused on what lies ahead rather than what has just passed. Will stands near the center of the deck, his posture steady, his expression grounded in a way that reflects everything he has been through. The urgency that once drove him has eased, replaced by a quiet certainty. He has reached the point he was moving toward, and that realization brings a sense of closure that does not need to be spoken. His journey has changed him, not in a sudden way, but through a series of moments that have shaped who he is now. Elizabeth remains close, her composure intact, her presence strong. She looks at the space around her with a new perspective, one shaped by everything she has learned and experienced. The uncertainty that once surrounded her has been replaced by clarity, giving her a sense of control that feels earned. She is no longer defined by the situation she was placed in, she has actively shaped its outcome. The crew of the Black Pearl begins to move again, their actions slower, more deliberate, as they adjust to their new state. The absence of the curse changes how they exist, how they respond, how they see themselves. This shift is not just physical, it is psychological, forcing them to confront a reality they have not faced in a long time. The weight of that realization settles across the ship, adding depth to the moment. Jack observes this without interference, recognizing that this transition belongs to them. His focus remains on the larger picture, on how this outcome fits into the path he has been following. The Black Pearl, once out of his reach, now feels closer than ever, not just as a goal, but as something that is returning to its rightful place. This connection drives his next steps, even as the current moment settles. Will turns his attention to Elizabeth, the connection between them now clear and unhidden. There is no need for explanation, no need for dramatic expression. The understanding between them has grown naturally through everything they have faced. This quiet acknowledgement carries more weight than any words could, reflecting the depth of their shared experience. Elizabeth responds with the same clarity, her gaze steady, her presence grounded. The bond between them feels real, shaped by action rather than assumption. This connection adds an emotional layer to the resolution, giving it a sense of completion that goes beyond the immediate conflict. Meanwhile, Jack begins to reassert his presence in a way that feels both natural and inevitable. His attention shifts back to the ship itself, to the crew, to the space that has defined so much of the story. The Black Pearl is no longer just a symbol, it is a reality that he can once again claim. This transition is handled with a quiet confidence, not through force, but through recognition. The crew, now free from the curse, responds to this shift with a mix of hesitation and acceptance. Their connection to the ship remains, but it is no longer bound by the same conditions. This creates a new dynamic, one that must be navigated carefully. Jack steps into this space with awareness, understanding that leadership here is not about control, but about direction. As the ship begins to move again, the ocean returns to focus, no longer a barrier or a battleground, but a path forward. The tension that once defined it has eased, replaced by a sense of possibility. This change reflects the shift in the story, moving from conflict into continuation, from resolution into what comes next. Will and Elizabeth stand together, watching the horizon, their journey far from over, but no longer uncertain in the same way. The challenges they faced have shaped them, giving them a foundation that will carry forward. Their presence on the ship feels earned, their place within the story solidified. Jack, now fully back in command, allows himself a moment of satisfaction, though it is subtle, almost hidden. His goal has been achieved, but his nature does not allow him to settle for long. The sea calls for movement, for new direction, and he responds to that instinct without hesitation. This forward momentum defines him, keeping the story alive even as one chapter closes. The pacing slows here, allowing the resolution to settle without rushing into the next phase. Each character is given space to exist within the outcome, to process what has happened in their own way. This restraint adds weight to the ending, making it feel complete without feeling final. The environment reflects this shift, the light softer, the movement of the ship steady, the ocean open and calm. These details reinforce the transition from conflict to resolution, creating a sense of balance that contrasts with the intensity of earlier moments. The story breathes here, allowing its conclusion to land fully. Jack's presence at the helm brings everything back to where it began, but with a deeper understanding. The journey has changed him in subtle ways, even if his outward behavior remains familiar. This consistency, paired with growth, gives his character a sense of depth that carries beyond the immediate story. Will's transformation is clear, not just in what he has done, but in how he carries himself. He is no longer defined by where he started, but by what he has become. This shift feels earned, grounded in the experiences that have shaped him throughout the journey. Elizabeth's role stands as one of the strongest arcs in the story, moving from uncertainty into control with a clarity that feels natural. Her growth is not forced. It develops through action, through understanding, through choice. This progression adds depth to the overall narrative, giving it a balance that strengthens the resolution. As the ship moves forward, the story reaches its closing note, not through a dramatic ending, but through a quiet continuation. The ocean remains, the journey continues, and the characters move into what comes next with a sense of purpose that did not exist at the beginning. This film succeeds because it does more than tell a story. It builds a world that feels alive, shaped by characters who evolve through the events they face. The balance between adventure, tension, and character depth keeps it engaging from start to finish. It does not rely on spectacle alone. It uses emotion, pacing, and detail to create something that holds attention consistently. The performances play a major role in this, with Johnny Depp delivering a character that feels completely unique, blending unpredictability with control. Orlando Bloom brings sincerity and growth, while Keira Knightley adds strength and intelligence that shape the story in meaningful ways. Jeffrey Rush provides a grounded intensity that anchors the conflict, giving it weight and presence. From a storytelling perspective, the film maintains a strong structure, building its tension gradually and resolving it in a way that feels earned. The pacing allows important moments to breathe, while keeping the narrative moving forward. This balance ensures that the audience remains engaged without feeling overwhelmed or rushed. In terms of overall impact, the film stands out as a strong example of how to blend character-driven storytelling with large-scale adventure. It creates a world that feels consistent, a narrative that feels complete, and characters that leave a lasting impression. If you are looking at it purely as a review, this is a film that delivers on multiple levels, from performance to pacing to overall storytelling. It keeps you engaged, it gives you characters to connect with, and it builds a world that feels worth returning to. If you enjoy character-driven adventure with strong pacing and memorable performances, this is a film worth watching. If you want more breakdowns like this, stay consistent and keep exploring stories that offer depth, not just action. The story may have reached its resolution, but the world it built does not stop moving, and that is where its real strength becomes clear. What remains after the final moment is not silence, but a sense of continuation that feels natural rather than forced. The ocean stretches forward, unchanged on the surface, yet everything within the story has shifted. The characters are no longer standing at the beginning of something unknown. They are stepping forward with understanding, shaped by what they have already faced. This lingering movement gives the ending a kind of depth that stays with you even after the main conflict has closed. Jack Sparrow stands at the center of that feeling, not because he dominates the story, but because he carries its tone forward. His presence remains unpredictable, yet now it feels more intentional, more grounded in purpose than it did at the beginning. He has regained what mattered to him, but he does not treat it as a final destination. Instead, he treats it as a starting point for whatever comes next. This mindset reflects a key idea within the film: that freedom is not something you reach once, it is something you continue to choose. Will Turner's position at the end carries a different kind of weight, one that is rooted in transformation rather than continuation. His journey was never about the sea itself, it was about stepping beyond the limits placed on him and discovering who he could become. By the time the story closes, that transformation feels complete, not because he has all the answers, but because he no longer needs them to move forward. His confidence is quiet, steady, and built on experience rather than expectation. Elizabeth Swann's arc leaves one of the strongest impressions, because it redefines what strength looks like within this kind of story. She begins in a world of structure and expectation, but she does not simply break away from it. She reshapes her place within it, using awareness and choice to influence the outcome of events. By the end, she stands as someone who understands both worlds, the controlled environment she came from and the unpredictable one she stepped into. That balance gives her character a lasting presence that extends beyond the final scene. Looking at the story as a whole, one of the most effective elements is how it handles tone. It never commits fully to being dark or light, serious or playful. Instead, it moves between these spaces in a way that feels fluid, allowing each moment to carry its own weight. This balance keeps the narrative engaging because it avoids becoming predictable. When tension builds, it feels real, and when it eases, it does so without losing momentum. The pacing plays a major role in supporting this tone, especially in how it builds toward key moments without rushing them. Important scenes are given space to develop, allowing the emotional and narrative impact to settle fully. At the same time, the story avoids unnecessary delays, keeping the overall movement consistent. This control over pacing ensures that the audience remains connected from beginning to end, without feeling overwhelmed or disengaged. Another strength lies in how the film treats its central conflict. The curse is not just a plot device, it is a concept that shapes the behavior, motivations, and limitations of the characters involved. It creates a framework where actions have consequences that extend beyond immediate results. This adds depth to the story, making the resolution feel meaningful rather than convenient. Jack's approach to this conflict highlights the importance of perspective within the narrative. He does not rely on strength or direct confrontation alone, he uses understanding, timing, and adaptability. This method sets him apart from more traditional characters, giving the story a unique angle that keeps it interesting. His unpredictability is not random, it is calculated in a way that becomes clearer as the story progresses. The dynamic between Jack, Will, and Elizabeth forms the emotional core of the film, and it works because each character brings something distinct to the story. Jack provides unpredictability and strategy, Will brings determination and growth, and Elizabeth adds intelligence and adaptability. Together, they create a balance that drives the narrative forward without relying too heavily on any single perspective. Geoffrey Rush's portrayal of Barbassa adds another layer to this balance, giving the story a strong opposing force that feels both controlled and dangerous. His presence anchors the conflict, making it feel grounded even when the story moves into more supernatural elements. This combination of grounded performance and heightened stakes strengthens the overall impact of the film. Visually, the film creates a world that feels immersive without becoming overwhelming. The ocean, the ships, and the environments all contribute to a sense of scale, but they never overshadow the characters. Instead, they support the narrative, providing a backdrop that enhances the story rather than distracting from it. This balance between visual detail and narrative focus is one of the reasons the film holds attention so effectively. From a viewer's perspective, the experience works because it offers multiple layers of engagement. You can enjoy it as a straightforward adventure, following the action and the characters as they move through the story. At the same time, you can look deeper, noticing how the themes of freedom, identity, and choice shape the narrative. This flexibility makes the film accessible while still offering depth. The humor within the film also deserves attention, not because it dominates the story, but because it is used with precision. It appears in moments where it can relieve tension without breaking it, maintaining the overall flow. Jack's character plays a central role in this, using humor as both a tool and a shield, adding complexity to how he interacts with the world around him. One of the key reasons the film remains memorable is how it introduces its characters and allows them to evolve naturally. There is no sudden shift, no forced change. Each development comes from the events of the story, making the progression feel earned. This approach strengthens the connection between the audience and the characters because it reflects a sense of authenticity. The ending, rather than closing everything completely, leaves space for continuation, and that choice works in its favor. It allows the story to feel complete while still suggesting that there is more to explore. This balance keeps the world alive, extending its impact beyond the final moment. If you look at it from a content creation perspective, this film offers a strong model for storytelling that keeps viewers engaged. It shows how to build tension gradually, how to balance character and plot, and how to deliver resolution without losing momentum. These are elements that translate well into long-form video content, especially when the goal is to maintain attention over time. For YouTube specifically, this kind of narrative structure works because it keeps the audience invested in both the story and the characters. Each segment adds value, each moment carries purpose, and nothing feels wasted. This is the kind of approach that aligns well with platform policies, because it focuses on transformation and interpretation rather than simple retelling. In the end, Pirates of the Caribbean stands as a film that understands its identity and executes it with clarity. It does not try to be everything at once, it focuses on what it does best and builds around that. The result is a story that feels cohesive, engaging, and worth revisiting. If you are building content around films like this, the key takeaway is simple. Focus on perspective. Add insight. Slow down important moments. Let the story breathe where it needs to. That is what keeps viewers watching, and that is what turns a simple recap into something that holds value. There is a different kind of tension when a story does not truly end, when the consequences of past choices begin to surface in ways no one expected. This time, the world feels less like an adventure waiting to begin and more like a debt waiting to be collected. The tone shifts quietly at first, but you can feel it almost immediately. The freedom that once defined the journey now carries weight, and every character steps into this story already connected to something bigger than themselves. This is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, released in 2006, directed by Gore Verbinski, continuing the story with Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley returning to their roles. The scale expands, the stakes rise, and the tone leans slightly darker without losing the identity that made the first film work. What stands out here is how the story builds on what came before instead of repeating it. The characters are no longer discovering the world, they are dealing with the consequences of living in it. Before moving forward, one thing should stay clear. This is a review and breakdown, not the full movie. The focus is on storytelling, character decisions, and the meaning behind key moments. You get the experience, the tension, and the insight, but not a scene-by-scene replacement. The film itself still offers its own value, especially with how much detail and scale it brings to the screen. The opening does not ease you in gently. It starts with a shift in expectation, moving away from open seas and into a controlled, almost suffocating environment. A formal setting, structured, rigid, filled with authority. Will Turner stands at the center of it, but something feels off immediately. This is not a celebration, not the kind of moment that should define a new beginning. Elizabeth is there too, dressed for what should be a turning point in her life, yet the atmosphere around her feels tense rather than joyful. There is a quiet unease in how everything is presented, as if something is about to interrupt before anything can truly begin. This feeling builds slowly, not through action, but through silence and expectation. Then it happens. The ceremony is stopped abruptly, not by chaos, but by authority. Soldiers enter, controlled, precise, carrying orders that do not allow for negotiation. The shift is immediate. What should have been a personal moment becomes political, and that change defines everything that follows. Will and Elizabeth are no longer individuals in control of their lives, they are now part of something much larger. The charges brought against them are not random. They are tied directly to the events of the first film, specifically their connection to Jack Sparrow. Helping a pirate, even indirectly, has consequences, and now those consequences arrive without warning. This moment sets the tone clearly. The past is not gone. It has been waiting. Elizabeth's reaction is controlled, but you can see the realization forming. The world she once moved through with confidence now feels restrictive again, but this time the stakes are higher. She is not just dealing with expectations, she is dealing with punishment. Will, on the other hand, processes this differently. His focus shifts quickly toward finding a solution, even if that solution is not immediately clear. Lord Beckett enters the story here, and his presence changes the direction instantly. He does not rely on force to establish control. He uses calm authority, measured words, and a clear understanding of leverage. His interest is not in punishing Will for the sake of justice. He wants something specific: Jack Sparrow. This introduction is important because it reframes the story. Jack is no longer just a wild-card character moving through events. He is now a target, someone whose actions have created ripples that others are trying to control. Beckett's deal with Will is simple on the surface. Find Jack Sparrow, bring back his compass, and earn freedom. But nothing about this situation is actually simple. Will is forced into a position where he has to choose between compliance and resistance, but the way it is presented leaves little room for choice. This creates immediate tension, because his goal is no longer just personal. It is tied to Elizabeth's safety, to his own survival, and to a system that does not care about either. Elizabeth, meanwhile, is left behind, but not in a passive way. Her situation becomes its own thread, one that develops alongside Will's journey. The separation between them is not just physical, it is narrative, creating two paths that will eventually reconnect. As Will sets out, the tone shifts again, moving from structured control back toward the unpredictability of the sea. But this time, the sea does not feel like freedom. It feels like uncertainty layered with danger that is not fully understood yet. The world has expanded, but so has the risk. Jack Sparrow's reintroduction does not come with clarity. It comes with confusion, tension, and something that feels slightly off. He is on a ship, surrounded by a crew that does not carry the same energy as before. There is movement, there is urgency, but there is also fear. This is new. Jack Sparrow, who once thrived on unpredictability, now seems to be reacting to something. His confidence is still there, but it feels strained, like it is being held together rather than flowing naturally. This subtle change is important, because it signals that something has shifted beneath the surface. The object at the center of this tension is not immediately explained, but its importance is clear. Jack is searching, avoiding, calculating. The compass, which once represented direction through desire, now feels like part of a larger problem rather than a solution. The ship itself reflects this tension. The crew is uneasy, their trust in Jack not as solid as it once might have been. There is a sense that they are following him because they have to, not because they fully believe in him. This creates a different dynamic, one where leadership is tested rather than assumed. Then the first real hint of the larger threat appears. It is not shown directly, not fully explained, but it is felt through reaction. Fear spreads in a way that does not match ordinary danger. This is not about another ship, another crew, or another conflict that can be solved with strategy alone. This is something else. Something bigger. Jack's behavior confirms it. He is not just avoiding confrontation, he is trying to stay ahead of something that cannot be easily controlled. His usual style of turning situations in his favor now feels limited, as if the rules he relies on are no longer enough. This shift changes how you see him. He is still clever, still unpredictable, but now there is pressure behind every decision. The story is no longer about navigating chaos. It is about surviving something that does not follow the same logic. Will's path begins to align with this tension as he moves deeper into the search for Jack. His journey is not straightforward. Every step brings him closer, but also deeper into a world that is far more complex than he expected. The mission given to him starts to feel less like a task and more like a trap. The contrast between Will and Jack becomes sharper here. Will moves forward with purpose, driven by a clear goal. Jack moves with caution, driven by something he is not fully revealing. This difference creates a dynamic that will define how their paths intersect again. Elizabeth's storyline, though separate at this point, carries its own tension. She is not simply waiting. She is thinking, observing, planning. The restrictions placed on her do not remove her agency. They reshape it. This keeps her relevant to the narrative, ensuring that her role continues to evolve rather than pause. The pacing of this opening section is deliberate. It does not rush into spectacle. It builds tension through shifts in control, through changes in character behavior, and through the introduction of a threat that is not fully visible yet. This approach keeps the audience engaged because it creates questions without answering them too quickly. The direction of the story becomes clear, even if the full picture does not. The characters are no longer moving freely. They are being pulled by forces that are larger than their individual goals. The world has expanded, but so has the cost of moving through it.